Hey, hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron, and welcome back to the Gamertron Show. So after putting over 190 hours into For Honor and reaching Reputation 21, which I know for the hardcore For Honor players and fans, they're already like Reputation 30 or 40. However, after my own lengthy personal experience with For Honor, I've easily come to the conclusion that For Honor is an incredible and fascinating gameplay experience. For Honor is easily one of my favorite games of this year, 2017 so far. It's become one of my favorite video games of all time, and I can easily see myself playing this game for years and years to come. You see, when it comes to For Honor specifically as a gameplay experience, it does a lot of things right off the bat. There are extensive and lengthy tutorials teaching you every single little detail and mechanic, the controls, and even the individual and unique tactics of each playable character. You can spend hours, and I did spend hours, in the tutorials in the practice modes, not only training with and learning the intricacies of each playable character, but also getting my timing right. For Honor is a game heavily by timing, both yours and your opponent's. For Honor is a video game I would say is more for the invested gamer, the hardcore gamer, not really for the casual crowd. While I do believe a casual gamer could easily enjoy the single player campaign and maybe invest some time in the PvE, PvP is a whole other story. That's one of the things I like about For Honor. That's one of the things that makes For Honor a very satisfying game to play when victorious, but also a crushing game in defeat, because For Honor is a truly skill-based video game. Not only in multiplayer, but in the single player. If you play the single player on the harder difficulties, you are up for a Dark Souls level of challenge. But, like said Dark Souls series, overcoming the challenges in For Honor are remarkably satisfying because you earn them. You earn those victories. Which brings me back around to how integral timing is in For Honor in its gameplay. You have to time your light attacks, your heavy attacks, time your blocks, your parries, your stance direction, when you dodge, guard break, perhaps use a special move. But not only do you have to watch your own timing with all of these aspects, but your enemy's timing, so that you can effectively counter and react to them. Many people describe For Honor as a fighting game hack and slash hybrid, which I pretty much agree with. And it took a while to get used to and adjust to the fact that For Honor is in fact in many ways a fighting game like game. I in many ways had to adjust my mindset from a hack and slash like game, for example Devil May Cry or Skyrim, or like mentioned earlier Dark Souls, and I had to think more like I was playing Mortal Kombat. There are actually quite a few similarities between For Honor and Mortal Kombat, including the grisly and gory and incredibly satisfying fatalities and executions. However, while For Honor is indeed a fighting game, and you have to have that fighting game mentality when in a one-on-one duel, but For Honor doesn't just consist of one-on-one duels. You will at many times throughout For Honor, in the single player and in multiplayer, battling several easy-to-kill AI minion opponents. Outside of the harder levels of difficulty in the single player, for the most part in multiplayer, soldiers and captains don't pose much of a real threat, but you do have to manage with their numbers and quickly overpowering them to get to objectives and remove useful reinforcements from your opponents. And the timing aspect of For Honor comes into play again, because both you and your enemies need to time when and where to attack enemy minions and protect your own. In the skirmish game mode, minions can be useful for helping overpowering and outnumber your opponents, while in the game mode Dominion, minions are essential for capturing and holding an objective on the map, usually the very center of the map. And we're not even done yet. We still haven't talked about all the different unique characters, their unique abilities, their feats, their combat styles, how different characters have different ranges and speeds in terms of attack speed, sprinting speed, character team composition in multiplayer, gear and gear stats, and there's so much more. Which is why, to me at least, For Honor is so damn engrossing. There's so much to keep track of, there's so much vying for your attention, that I am immersed and engaged through the gameplay, not necessarily the environment or the setting or the visuals or the story, but through the gameplay. Like I said, For Honor for the most part is a game that demands your attention. This is a game for the hardcore and invested gamer, as those that can manage everything the game is throwing at you are rewarded. You're rewarded with victory, you're rewarded on being top of the leaderboard. You're also rewarded with progression, leveling up, loot, gear, and currency. And of course there's the multitude of different in-game rewards as you're playing the game. When you revive revive a downed ally player, it gives you a boost of XP for unlocking your feat abilities. When you successfully finish off an enemy with a heavy attack in a duel, you get to pull off a brutal and satisfying execution. When you capture objectives in Dominion, you are rewarded with score points, XP for unlocking your feats, and healing if you're injured. For Honor is constantly giving you a positive, rewarding gameplay feedback loop for doing well, for playing the game well. And even after all these hours of playing For Honor, while I would definitely say I'm decent at the game, I'm nowhere near as skilled as some of the players I've gone up against. Because even after all these hours, after all this leveling up, after all the enemies I've slaughtered, after all the matches I've played and victories I've had, I'm still nowhere near best of the best. I'm still nowhere near an expert player. And I think this is going to be a unique aspect for everyone who plays For Honor. Everybody's going to have their different strengths and weaknesses depending on which of the different characters they levitate towards to. What is your preferred playstyle? Because For Honor has a character that represents you and your playstyle. We have Vanguards, all-around well-rounded characters, Assassins, faster glass cannon-like characters, Heavies, tank-like characters, and Hybrids, combining the features of the previous class types. But each of the different characters is not copy-paste from one another, from faction to faction, from character to character, from class to class. The Samurai Vanguard, the Kensei, is nowhere near the same gameplay style as the Viking Vanguard character, the Raider. Same goes with the Knight Vanguard, the Warden. Despite all three of them being Vanguards, they don't play the same at all. They don't have the same special feats, they don't have the same special moves. Despite them all being Vanguards, they're very different characters. This applies to every single character, in every single faction, in every single class type. There are some characters that I can confess I'm pretty decent at playing as. There are some characters that I am terrible at playing as. There are some characters whom when I'm fighting against them, I have an advantage because I know how they play, and I know how they'll counter their playstyle with the character I'm playing as, whereas there are other characters I'm simply terrible at fighting against, no matter the character I'm playing as. For instance, I'm pretty decent with the Warden, Lawbringer, and Kensei. I'm absolutely terrible with the Valkyrie, the Warlord, and despite my continued efforts to get better at him, the Conqueror. Meanwhile, I'm pretty good at countering and defeating the characters the Raider, the Orochi, and the Shigoki. Meanwhile, I constantly get my ass kicked by these characters, the Valkyrie, the Warlord, and the Conqueror. Seeing a pattern here, I, myself, my personal gameplay experience, my own personal gameplay style, hinders me and has me easily defeated by characters with shields. Meanwhile, I know other players who are experts at these characters, can easily play as them and dominate as them, and can also kick the asses of all the shield-wielding characters. You see, this is a me thing, and that's the unique thing about For Honor. Everybody's going to have their own personal experience with For Honor as they discover their preferred gameplay style, as they discover what they are best against, what they can easily counter, and what easily counters them, and how you need to learn, adapt, and evolve in For Honor. Despite my over 190 hours into the game, despite hitting Reputation 21, I still have so much to learn. I'm still learning the best arenas, the best fighting spots on the different maps. I'm still learning new special moves and where and when to utilize these special moves depending on the environment, the character I'm playing as, and the character I'm up against. For Honor is a really, really visceral video game. Its gameplay is so dynamic, so varied. It has such a satisfying and challenging and constantly growing and evolving the player gameplay loop experience. And all the finer details of that gameplay experience are polished to a T. When it comes to the audio and visuals of said gameplay, the animations of the characters, the sound effects, the clanking of metal, the splurts of blood, the epic and hilarious war cries, the gameplay and the visuals of said gameplay are engaging and authentic. For Honor not only nails the mechanics and the systems, but the feel of being in a legitimate sword fight, or spear fight, or axe fight, whatever weapon you may be holding at the time. I'm not gonna lie, me personally, I'm very picky when it comes to my gameplay. I've played some great video games. I've played video games of the highest critical acclaim from the gaming community. Gamers remark about how some of these video games are just so good they could play them till the end of time. But because those video games click for those individuals. It's why we have some gamers who prefer League of Legends over Dota, or vice versa. Why some people prefer Battlefield over Call of Duty, and vice versa. Why some people prefer Street Fighter over Mortal Kombat, and vice versa. When it comes to me personally and For Honor just It clicks for me. It does it for me. For Honor is a game I can easily see myself playing for years. Hell, playing for the end of time, as some might say. I truly find every aspect, every surrounding feature, every intricate detail about For Honor's gameplay immensely satisfying and addicting. Its gameplay always demands my attention, always demands my wit and my drive. Victory, whether it be a 1v1 duel or a 4v4 Dominion match, will not come easily. So when I'm capturing objectives, slaughtering hordes of minions, getting takedown after takedown on enemy opponents, performing gory and glorious executions, then playing an emote afterwards just for the hell of it, well, I'm just having a joyous time in the gameplay of For Honor. Personally, I find For Honor to be an incredible gameplay experience. But hey, what are your thoughts, feelings, and opinions on For Honor and its gameplay experience that it offers? Let me know your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comment section down below. I love reading comments. I get nearly enough comments. Be sure to leave a comment. If you like this video in any way, shape, or form, please be sure to hit the like button. The like button helps you, helps me, helps everybody involved in the video if you hit the like button. If you want to help out and support this video, then please share it on social media, Twitter and Facebook. And if you want to help out and support me directly, well, there's always Patreon. Anyways, guys, that's been a video, and I'll see you all later.